Oh, we got Coach Autry, sounds like. And, Red, I was thinking about you watching the end of the BC Wake game last night, and I'm curious, were you watching that live in real time, or did you just look at the cut-ups in the office today?
I was going back and forth. I missed the last. I kind of shut it off once they took a lead, so I watched the ending last night, not live, though. I was, I thought Boston College had put it away pretty,
Right.
and obviously in basketball, it's never over until it's over with. And Wake made a really fierce comeback and took the lead. But that's basketball, and it was an exciting finish for one team and not so exciting for the other.
Well, I said it's not, in a tournament scenario, which you're going to have here in a couple of weeks, you're waiting on the results to determine, your scouting report and who you're playing next. Here in the regular season, you're focusing on Wake Forest and you're done with BC for now. So it didn't really impact that, but I was just kind of curious because, you're talking about a Wake Forest. Had they won, it would have been, 4 out of 5 for them. Coming into the game on the weekend down there. And we can get your thoughts on Wake here in a little bit. But the game they had last night was really interesting because their second best player, Nate Calmes, comes off injury. He'd missed the last handful, has a good first half, turns his other ankle apparently, and sits the second half. And Juke Harris was their star throughout. But we'll pick that back up. I was just curious, Coach, no midweek game this week. That's the ebb and flow of the schedule. And if you could just kind of give the listeners an idea of where everybody is in terms of just a little bit of a reset button here or a breath of fresh air to be off your feet or not have a game on Tuesday and Wednesday, and how that leads you here to the stretch run of the season.
Yeah, I think obviously having, like you said, some time off, it gave us some time to, heal up a little bit of bumps and bruises from the season. Obviously, be able to kind of reset for these last, this final stretch. So it's been a good time for us to kind of, as a team, to kind of get a little bit of rest with our bodies, but get back into work and really try to continually, challenge our team and get better in certain areas, as we finish these last 3 games and try to prepare for the, for the tournament. So that's kind of what we've been able to do, reset, and really just kind of, get our mindset going down this final stretch of games.
This month of February, we've all known from the time the schedule came out, this was the, quote, gauntlet portion of the schedule. In February, you played North Carolina, Virginia, Duke, and then Carolina again, and 2 and 4 in that stretch. When you size up, kind of how that went, what did it reveal about your team? Any surprises there?
I thought, obviously, the last game at Carolina, we were, a couple of, I felt like we were a couple of momentum-changing plays. Not to say that we would have came out with the win. I thought it would have helped us, and in that game, to try to get a different outcome. We knew this was, February was going to be a tough month for us. I thought our guys responded. I thought they fought. I mean, you take away, obviously, the Duke game and the Carolina games at their place. All the games, we put ourselves in position to either win or be close enough. So I thought we battled overall when you look back and challenged. But, again, just came up short. And some of that is, most of that is, things that of our own doing, I challenge myself and I challenge our staff and I challenge our team to those things that we came up short on and things that are all, correctable. That's how we've finished out the month of February, or we're finishing out the month of February, especially this end stretch of being able to kind of correct those things that we can control.
When you're talking about correcting things, now that you've had time to look back on the North Carolina game, what went wrong offensively for you, and are those correctable things?
You would say yes. I mean, we missed shots. I mean, we really had some, we probably missed 5 to 6 layups. Where you just have to make those. We had a couple of wide open looks that just didn't go in, and I thought that was the difference. I thought our defense, for the most part, kept it close for us, but our offense, once we tied it up at 44-44, we had a, wide open 3 for Tyler Betsy that he normally makes those. That they makes it 1 point game. Early in the first half, I thought JJ and Nate had a couple of shots that just they normally make. You need to make those against Carolina, and those are the things that are the difference when you're playing against those teams. So I thought the difference was, it wasn't that we didn't get shots, we just didn't make shots. I thought our offense actually generated some pretty decent shots. We just didn't make enough.
I'm looking at the official stats from that game right now, Red, and obviously there's some human interaction here. It takes a human being to designate the shot as a layup, a jumper, whatever. But statistically, at least 9 missed layups in that game.
Yeah, I mean,
9.
yeah, and that's the difference. That really is, shots at the rim that, typically we make those. If you make those, it's a different game. It really is. I think even if we made those in the first half, you go up in the half, probably either up 2, up 3, or 4. Obviously it's another 20 minutes to play, but that's what I seen. That's what I took from that game as I peeled it back and watched it over and over and over again. Obviously defensively, we had a couple of mistakes, a couple of miscommunications, which that happens, breakdowns. But they're a good team. You're not holding a good team like North Carolina. I mean, we held them into the sweet point where you thought you had a chance to win, which is low 70s. Try to keep them in the 60s. I thought we were kind of right around that range until the end where we had to foul. If you didn't have to foul and impress, that's probably would have been the final score. So I thought defensively it was there. Just offensively, we didn't make shots, and we got good shots.
All right, let's transition into Wake, and we'll have more time with Coach Autry tonight out at the Wildcat Sports Pub. Wake is led by Juke Harris, coach, who's among the most improved players in the conference. And when I say led, I'm saying he's the only player who scored in double figures for them last night. He had 38 points.
Yeah.
Took 19 shots out of their 62. Do you see that is that a one-on-one with Donnie thing? How does that play out Saturday night?
That's everybody. Juke is a guy that that's a team, that's a collective thing. He's super efficient. He's one of the best scorers. I think he's an NBA type player. He's an NBA player. Got good size and shoots it. They've run a lot of stuff to get him shots, but they also have other good players around him. So obviously Juke is one of those guys. I always say there's certain guys that they're going to get their they're going to get their points. You just want to make them work, make them difficult. You try to shut them down a little bit, but you can't forget about the other guys because he commands so much attention. So I think that's really the mindset going in, is seeing if we can keep Wake Forest in check and try to make Juke work. That's all you can really do.
Yeah, you could figure a bounce back for guys like Miles Colvin. He missed every shot he took in the game yesterday. That's not going to happen, Again, just kind of looking at the box score.
Yeah, and they're a very good home team. They play really well at home. They've had some big...
So at home recently?
Yep, they got some big wins at home. And some games that they could have come out with, they came out on the other end. They're very, very close for that record being very different because they've had a lot of close losses. So this is a very good team, talented offensive team. It'll be a challenge for us. Again, like you said, that game that they just had, those guys are going to play better. You got to expect that they will play better, especially at home. And then after a loss, that they just had right there on the road, they'll be fired up.
I'll say this about Wake. Every team is different in February than it was in November. Every team. It's not just Syracuse. We spend all this time going back to the Las Vegas trip and using that as a perspective for the rest of the year. Wake. So again, it was a couple months back, but in November they probably should have beaten Michigan. They kind of squandered that game. They lose by 1, and then the week after that, Texas Tech, same thing. They lost by 1. Those are two teams that are going to be probably in the Elite Eight. I mean, are certainly going to be right in the mix. So that's why I think Wake's again a team, like Syracuse at its top end is capable of hanging with anybody, and just over the course of 30 games, you just don't always play like that.
Yeah, I think they've had some injuries, with some guys, prior to that. Right now, they're missing their point guard who's having a really, really good year. Don't know if he'll be back for Saturday's game, but they again, talent, good team, and it's the ACC. I don't think it's no gimmies. I think, you have to show up, especially this year. This league is really good. These teams are really good. And it's going to be, set up for an exciting finish for us, as well as the league. A lot of games being played that are meaningful games throughout the league for everyone. So I just think, you're going to see high-level basketball across the conference. Exciting games, battles, again, not perfectly played, but intense, tough games.
Looking forward to it.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. We'll see you tonight out at Wildcat.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
It's Coach Autry. Oswego County Mutual brings that to us every Thursday. And Donnie Freeman will be there, too, signing autographs. Come out, make him work.
Yeah.
Past few times.
Make him earn his wings?
Yeah. Past few times he's just been sitting there signing and pre-signing. Make him stand in line. And you can save him from one guy who just comes and talks to him the whole time, telling him how to play basketball. So that's tonight, right on TK99. And it's ESPN Radio Syracuse, Utica, Rome, and Q Sports.